Welcome back to the story of Venom and the story of the War of the Realms. When we last left off with Venom, Eddie discovered that Venom was actually manipulating his entire life to cause Eddie to be dependent upon Venom. The War of the Realms is a series in which the Dark Elf Meleketh, the Accursed One, has brought a battle to the Earth realm. All 9 of the realms within Thor's lore have come together for a final battle, and they are using Earth as the battlefield. In Venom's spin-off, Eddie is alone with no Venom, and the entirety of New York is currently under attack. If you're wondering where you are, this is the Comic Storian channel. We take the lore to your favorite video games, comic books, movies, and TV shows, and we break them down into audio dramas, allowing you to keep up with the stories if you have limited time. If you enjoy this, please consider subscribing to our channel and giving this video a like and turning on that bell so you know when videos are actually released. And now it's time for us to begin our story. Flashing lights of emergency vehicles can be seen throughout the city, and the sounds of battle surround them as Eddie and his son rush down into the deserted alleyway. "Where are we going?" Dylan asks, his legs pumping to keep up with the much larger Eddie Brock. "Just keep it cool. I'll take us somewhere safe," he whispers, slowly allowing the young boy to catch up. The two stop, staring up at the glowing blue portal in the sky, fear crossing Dylan's face while Eddie just sets his mouth in a grim line. They stop as around the corner, a massive fire creature stops in the street, listening for the sound of prey. Its head moves from side to side, and luckily it heads away from the two of them. With the danger having momentarily passed, Eddie and Dylan press forward, finally arriving at a large warehouse. Eddie is trying to keep Dylan calm, telling him that the safe house should be close by, when suddenly they hear a frightened scream. They turn, seeing 3 people running from the dark elves that stalk them. "Listen to that! There's no sweeter sound in all of the realms!" The elves cackle as they give chase. Eddie motions for the boy to get behind cover. He's going to help. "What can you do? You're not Venom anymore!" Dylan hisses. "Yeah, but I'm 10 kinds of stupid." The family cowers in fear as the dark elves move forward, their blades drawn. "Hey!" Eddie calls from behind, forcing the elves to turn. "Leave them alone! This doesn't have to end messy," he warns, yet Eddie can't even finish his tough guy speech before the elves are surrounding him. "Oh, look, brothers, a hero! Oh, he might be one of the mighty Avengers we've heard so much about. So fearsome, maybe we should flee." Eddie doesn't hesitate. His fist quickly connects with an elven face, but there's still 2 more and a blade slices across his back. A second pierces his side as the elves move quickly, and Eddie falls to his knees. "Heroes die painfully. It's sad, though." The blood drips from Eddie's mouth as the elf leans forward, taunting him. "Your kind isn't cut out for heroism, yet you long to embrace it." The elves turn, seeing the family escaping through the warehouse. "Leave this sack of flesh. A hero should know what it is to die hearing a lullaby of shrieks." Elsewhere, Dylan leans out from behind his hiding spot, worried for Eddie's safety. "What have we here?" The dark elf sneers as his blade gets dangerously close to Dylan's face. He quickly throws up his hands, telling the elf that he surrenders, yet a evil grin spreads wider across the elf's face. "Poor boy, I'm afraid we don't take prisoners." "Good to know," Eddie growls as his arms wrap around the sneering elf's neck, twisting hard and sharp. The sound of snapping bones begin to fill the warehouse. "Neither do I." Dylan is shocked as Eddie stumbles across the wall, weak from his blood loss. The small boy tries to support the big man as they continue forward, trying to reach their safe house, but unknown to them, they are being watched from above by 3 shriveled elves. "Now that's interesting," one of the war witches mutters. A would-be warrior, full of purpose and full of rage, yet without weapon or armor." The others warn her, now is not the time for games of corruption. Dylan and Eddie press onward, leaving a trail of blood splatters on the floor, smearing it onto the walls. And finally they arrive, moving into the room packed with guns and equipment. "Whoa, that's a lot of guns," Dylan breathes. "You don't think earthly weapons will help you, do you?" The voice calls from the gloom of the shadows. The two turn, greeted by the sight of one of Meleketh's ancient war witches. "You must know that your situation is more dire than that." Eddie pushes Dylan away, preparing to attack the witch as he draws a pistol from one of the cases. Dark magic swirling around the room as he aims, and suddenly the pistol is melting in his hands. "It's not a firearm that you want, is it, Eddie?" The witch grins as she watches him with darkness in her empty eye sockets. Floating above her hand, a dark crystal suddenly glows. "A rock? I'd rather have a gun," Eddie growls, but the witch simply grins wider. "A dreamstone highly prized among my people. They give life to dreams, desires, and dreams. This one is specific. Weapons." Sweat begins to pour down Eddie's face. His wounds are horrible. "I know this weapon you desire. Take the stone and you shall have it. I shall give you purpose with which to wield it." Eddie's hand stretches out with the stone shifting as he gets closer. Suddenly it melts and tendrils of power begin to wrap around his body. He stands ready, clad in a new symbiote with arcane ruins.
This is different. Same, but different.
He growls. Dylan looks on worried as he asks if Eddie is still in there.
It's me, Eddie. I'm all right.
He answers. The War Witch moves forward. She has given Eddie what he desires. She has given him new armor, new symbiote powers. Within he can heal. She has given him strength. Now you shall use these gifts for Meleketh's crusade. Her words are cut off as Eddie uses his new teeth to sever her arm at the elbow. Purple dark elf blood splattering the room, dripping from his jaws.
Nah.
The elf falls to her knees, clutching her wound. Why did I not foresee this? She crows, dark magic swirling, and the witch disappears into her portal. Eddie looks over his shoulder to see Dylan staring at him with fear in his eyes.
Don't look at me like that. Only way to fight a monster is with a monster.
He crosses the room, handing Dylan a weapon. You're leaving me? The boy timidly asks.
I can't sit this one out. I'm supposed to protect people. You'll be all right, Dylan.
He tells him as he exits the room, but before Dylan can stop him, Eddie hits the button to seal the doors to the safe room, locking Dylan within. In the city, fire and smoke rage around the group of dark elves as they play with the family that they've captured. Shoot him between the eyes and I'll commit my next 3 murders in your name, one calls to his companions, aiming his bow at a struggling man, his family watching on in fear.
Didn't I tell you? You don't want the kind of trouble a guy like me can bring.
The elves quickly react to Eddie's entrance, but not quick enough. The first head is severed as the comrades leap away, firing arrows against the intruder. Yet their leaps don't take them far enough. Tendrils lash out of the new symbiote, piercing the warriors. Eddie turns, catching a fallen sword, slashing across their stomachs and through their armor. The war cry reaches him, and he turns to see a massive troll leaping towards him, war axe at the ready. The symbiote lashes out, ripping the head off of the troll's body. The voice in Eddie's head tells him to kill, destroy. It scares him. The symbiote stands amongst the bodies of its fallen enemies, roaring into the night. Who are you? One of the saved civilians asks.
I am Venom, Eddie says.
Elsewhere in the city, the War Witch has materialized within a small apartment, still clutching her wounded arm. She should have seen that Venom was too unpredictable. To have seen his betrayal, she cannot let her sisters know of her failure. Who are you? What are you doing in my apartment? A voice asks. I can give you a gift, the witch offers, turning to the occupant. She offers another dreamstone, offers it to the man so that he may help her turn and kill Venom. If you aid me in destroying Venom, I will make all of your dreams come true. And stepping out of the shadows, Jack-o'-lantern reaches for the stone. Don't mind if I do. In the safe house, Dylan opens the bags of MREs, staring at the wheat snack bread that he finds within. His face becomes a look of disgust. I'm supposed to eat this? In the city, Venom lifts a tank over his head, giving the civilians nearby time to run. His new suit, it's different. It feeds off anger and rage, and the tank belongs to Roxxon, who are aiding the forces of Meleketh. Anger pulses through Eddie, and the symbiote becomes stronger, throwing the massive war machine to the ground. The soldier driving the tank crawls away, screaming for help. Tendrils lash out, pulling a war axe to Venom's hand. With one mighty swing, he cuts the tank in two, and the soldier struggles to his feet, starting to run, yet the symbiote is holding on to some of the Dark Elf arrows. With blinding speed, the tendrils launch the arrows forward, embedding them into the soldier's back. The soldier still crawls, but Venom stalks forward, anger still pulsing through his body as he ends the fight with a swing of the axe. Suddenly, a blast of fire hits him from behind and he roars with rage. Let me get this straight. You use an elven artifact to give you the suit of your dreams and you still made it vulnerable to fire? Jack-o'-lantern laughs as he flies by, riding on the back of a fiery goblin. Venom stares at the villain with rage in his eyes. Miss me? The two launch into battle, with Venom swinging his massive troll war axe, yet he is stopped as Jack breathes fire into his face. Lashing out blindly, Venom knocks Jack away, but before he can recover, the villain sets his dogs on him. Hellhounds leap from the destruction around them, barking and growling. Eddie likes dogs, but the suit wants battle. It wants death! The axe severs one as the other is pierced by the sharp tendrils. Not wasting any time, he leaps after Jack, clawing his way up a building. He turns looking for his prey, only to be smashed against the side of the building by a giant mace.
I know 3 heroes who are going to squish Venom!
The giant laughs as Jack-o'-lantern flies around them. Venom tries to launch away, avoiding another swing, only to be slashed by Jack. He roars in pain and anger. He's too small to fight the giants and he doesn't have a big enough axe. Eddie begins to think back on his life, his childhood, his time as a hero and a villain, his rage and his anger. Anger floods the symbiote, filling it with power, and it grows. Venom's roar echoes throughout the city as he grows massive with the anger that lives within Eddie Brock. He turns now the size of the giants, biting down, sinking his jaws into the cold flesh of its neck, rearing back and tearing away the flesh in a fountain of purple giant's blood. The second falls as the axe cleaves its head from its body. The third tries to stop him, tries to wrap its massive arm around his neck from behind, yet the symbiote is a weapon. Spikes suddenly jut out of its back, piercing the giant's body, killing him instantly. Didn't forget about little old me, did you, big fella? Jack asks as he rains fire down upon the massive Venom, and he tries to attack, but now Jack is small and quick, raining painful fire from above. The fire burns, coursing around Venom, and he falls to his knees, shrinking once more to his original size. Eddie struggles from the fire as the symbiote burns and heals itself. He stands, the suit now torn and ragged. It changes and morphs, trying to protect him. Now it's armor. Shaped as a memory from the past. It's no longer a living suit. It is a Venom Asgardian armor. Jack doesn't have time to finish Venom. He has a job to do, and the armored warrior watches from the ground as he flies away. Elsewhere, the war witch cackles. The more Venom fights, the more a warrior of Malekith he becomes. She orders Jack to finish the task. The villain launches forward, his fiery glider growing in size until it's practically a dragon. The beast breathes fire into the streets of New York. Venom's eyes grow big as he sees the civilians burn. He hears their screams. His eyes glow red as the rage begins to take over, and he launches himself upward, watching the destruction on a rooftop, clad in his Asgardian armor. The symbiote slides down, wrapping around the war axe that he carries, and he starts to swing it. He throws the weapon, sending it spinning towards its target, and the blade slashes across Jack's ribs, bringing forth a cry of pain and a gush of blood. Eddie smiles as he calls the weapon back. So unlike his old symbiote, yet so different. Jack hurls his own scythe, yet Eddie easily leaps away. But Jack has been transformed by the witch's magic too. The scythe begins to morph before Eddie's eyes, and suddenly standing before Eddie is a jack-o'-lantern golem, powered by magic. The Dreamstone says I can do anything, says the guy who can't shake the Halloween costume. Eddie roars as he leaps forward, the axe meeting the scythe with a hard metal clash. Eddie is strong. The axe is snapping his enemy's weapon, yet Jack uses the magic and the broken shards to suddenly pierce through Eddie's flesh. How do you like these, pumpkins? The villain cackles, blood dripping out of Eddie's mouth, yet it simply reforms into a hardened shell of the symbiote. With a roar, Venom punches his fist through the golem Jack, ripping him apart in a spurt of dying flames. The real Jack is behind him now, riding his fiery creature. There you are. The real you want a shot at the title now? Venom turns, readying his weapon, yet it is slow and blasted from the roof in a wave of fire. He lands in the alley below, his suit smoking, tendrils writhing in pain. The suit begins to change again, not waiting for Eddie. He stands, turning to see the people hiding behind the dumpster, pleading with him to stop fighting, just let the villains move away. The mortal has left sacrifices, offerings to the burning throne. Eddie turns to see the fire goblins stalking down the alleyway towards them, their bodies the outlines of creatures in pure flame.
Run! Get clear! I'll hold them back!
Eddie yells to the people, turning to face his new threat. He moves to meet the demons toppling beneath their strength. The suit burns, twisting as he holds the creatures at bay. He manages to throw them away, yet their blast of heat holds him there. He remembers the son that he left behind, that he needs to protect. And once again, the armor surges with strength and tendrils lashing outward, marked with powerful ruins. His claws are now crystal sharp, cutting through the demon flesh of the goblins, molten blood dripping from his fingertips. One tries to escape, with the armor taking over again, launching razor blades at the fleeing goblins. Eddie moves back into the street and he can see Jack-o'-lantern burning the people around him, and then he realizes the armor can do anything. The Dreamstone that powers it can do anything that he can imagine. So it peels off his body, becoming smaller bits and pieces. Eddie falls as the last drop drips away. Witch counted on my anger, but I'm done being used, he breathes. The tendrils and pieces of the armor move forward, finding those that need protection, those in danger. A woman cries out in startled fear, yet the armor is not hurting her. It's protecting her. Now she stands ready, clad in her own suit of Asgardian symbiote armor, and the symbiote finds others, wrapping them in protection. Suddenly, a squad of Venom warriors stand ready in defense. Eddie stares down. The symbiote hasn't even fully left him yet, and his armored hand grips a powerful axe. The Venoms stand ready, fighting against the fiery demons of Niflheim. The creatures then fall. Seeing the defeat below him, Jack bellows in rage. "You can't get away from me! I'm a living nightmare!" Eddie looks up, holding his axe in the air, and dreams of the only Asgardian that he actually knows. Rain begins to pelt downward, and lightning cracks from the sky, striking Jack and throwing him. The Dreamstone bounces away, only to shattered human lies on the pavement. And from the range strides Eddie Brock. "Hiya, Jack." The villain tries to crawl away. "He's a nobody, nothing." And Eddie agrees, turning away. The rain continues to fall, and the symbiote armor disappears. Returning to the safe house, Eddie forces his way in with a crowbar, finding the barrel of a rifle staring in his face. "You're back and you're, not Venom," Dylan notes. Eddie tells the young kid what happened. As long as they keep their heads down, they should be safe. Meanwhile, back on the streets, the rain continues to fall on the pulsing Dreamstone, and a hand reaches for it. And that concludes Eddie Brock's participation in the main War of the Realms storyline. Now, we're going to find out a little bit more about what happened to Venom itself, the actual Venom, if you continue to follow the story. So subscribe to our channel right here at Comic Storian so that we can continue the War of the Realms storyline. And we are fully caught up in Venom right now, so it's going to be a little while until we can get back to the main plot. But we are prepping for the fall event here at Marvel, the Carnage Return. So make sure you subscribe, turn that bell on so you know when we start doing more videos involving the Carnage and Venom situation. And I'll see you next time right here.